This by far is the best gift I have ever bought myself. I mean, it's the Infinity Gauntlet, and it lights up when you put a warm drink in there. It lights up as the Infinity Gauntlet. It's fantastic. I'm a nerd for stuff like that. I've also got a pretty strong coffee mug game, I won't lie. Also, we had a no-hitter in spring training the other night. The Cubs no-hit the Padres. I think it was like 7 pitchers were used. I mean, call it what you want. I know a lot of people are like, nah, combined no hitters don't mean anything. No hitter's a no hitter. Just deal with it. Anyway, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to Dugout Talk. And today we're going to do something a little different. I mean, this might be a thing throughout the week just because I don't have a series planned for Dugout Talk specifically. But we're going to be doing tier lists. So, this tier list that we're going to do today is managerial hot seats going into the 2023 season. I'm going to grade every manager based on their job security, whether they're safe, neutral, or they could be fired at any minute. And again, this is all opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but this is just my hot take on it. So, with that said, let's go ahead and hop right on into the video. All right, so this is the tier list that I was talking about. We have safe, we have fringe, which is the neutral, and then we have the hot seat. So we will start with the Anaheim Angels, and that's Phil Nevin. I'm going to say he's fringe. The only reason I'm saying fringe is because the Angels really have no reason not to compete this year. If they don't win this year, I don't expect Nevin to stick around. The Angels haven't really had managerial success since Mike Scioscia retired. Uh, so we'll just kind of see what happens. I think Nevin can make his job safe, but this is the year to prove it. Up next, we have the Houston Astros, Dusty Baker. He's safe. He's not going anywhere. I know the Astros said that they might fire him because they were looking for a new GM, but Dana Brown ain't firing Dusty. Dusty's going to retire when he wants to. Up next, we have Mark Kotze and the Oakland A's. I'm going to say fringe. And the only reason for that is because if Oakland doesn't improve from last year, which was a 60 and 102 record, I have no doubt, as much as I've been hating on the A's, I have no doubt that they can at least win a couple more games than they did last year. But if they don't improve, I think Kotze could be on the hot seat very quickly. Up next, we have John Schneider. I think he's fringe as well. The reason for that is because the Jays are kind of appear to be in a place of if managers can't win, if they can't win when it matters, they're going to be gone. I mean, look at Charlie Montoya last year. He was 4 games above 500, and the Jays fired him mid-season. I mean, credit to John Schneider. He was able to get that team to the playoffs still. But I think if the Jays underachieve at all this year, Schneider could be gone. Up next, we have Brian Snitker. He's safe. He's a god among men in Atlanta. I mean, he's the best manager they've had since Bobby Cox retired. Braves are in the middle of a dynasty. They need someone there to stick around long term. Up next, we have Craig Counsell and the Brewers. He's safe. I mean, he's the best manager in Brewers history. I think, he's for him, yeah, the Brewers haven't really performed well as they could, but there's no doubt denying that Counsell is the guy to lead that team. He's had a winning season every year minus 2020 since 2017. Up next, we have Ollie Marmol and the Cardinals. He's safe. Rookie manager last year got them to the playoffs. I know they lost in the wild card series, but he's fine. He's not going anywhere. Up next, we have David Ross and the Cubs. I'm going to say his seat is fringe. Like, it could be hot, but he could make it safe. The reason for that, obviously, the Cubs look like they're trying to win this year. And good for them. I think they have a good opportunity. I think they've got a great chance to at least make the wild card. As long as the Cubs are in the postseason contention for most of the year, they don't even have to make the playoffs this year. As long as they have gotten to that point where they are at least in contention, I think he'll be fine. But if they underachieve, I could easily see his seat being high. Up next, we have Torey Lavello. For the moment, I'm going to say safe. And I'm saying safe because the team is young, and I think it's unrealistic to expect this team to make it all the way to the playoffs this year just because you got to develop that chemistry along the way. But the team would have fired Lavello 2 years ago if they weren't confident in his abilities anymore. I think they feel fine with him. Like, just end it there. Up next, we have Dave Roberts. Unpopular opinion, he's on the hot seat. The reason he's on the hot seat is because if the Dodgers make the playoffs again and they lose again, I don't know how this guy sticks around. I mean, Roberts has cost this team so many chances to win a World Series in a full 162, and I don't count 2020 because that was a shortened season, and the argument there is that they were in mid-season form when the World Series came around. They have to win one in a 162 for Roberts to stick around full time. Up next, we have Gabe Kapler. I'm going to say fringe. I think that this is kind of the year for Cap to prove that he deserves to be the Giants manager in the long run. If the Giants don't play well this year, I don't think he's going to get fired, but I do think he's going to be on the hot seat just because the Giants haven't built off the 107 win season from 2021. Simple as that. Up next, we have the Cleveland Guardians, and that is Terry Francona. Nothing to say here. He's safe. He's going to retire when he wants to. Up next, Seattle Mariners, Scott Service. He's safe. I mean, even if the Mariners struggle this year, he got them to the playoffs for the first time in 22 years. He's not going anywhere. He's fine. Up next, we have the Miami Marlins, Skip Schumacher. He is also safe. He's a rookie manager. You cannot expect him to just turn that team around, especially with how competitive the NL East is going to be this year. If Miami finishes 500, that is a win. Up next, we have Buck Showalter. I'm gonna say safe, I guess, but I do think if the Mets underachieve, they're either gonna look for a new manager. I don't know if they're gonna look for a new manager, so say, but I think if they underachieve, Showalter could very well be on the fringe side. But he did get them 101 wins last year. Give him credit where it's due. Up next, we have Dave Martinez of the Nationals. He's on the hot seat. I'm going to be honest. I don't really think he's that great of a manager. I know the Nationals haven't given him much to work with the last couple of years. But you got to remember, even during the 2019 World Series year, they were 12 games under 500 at one point, and he almost got fired for that. I mean, he's okay. He's okay as a manager, but he's nothing like elite. I think with new ownership coming in eventually for the Nationals too, I expect them to just clean house. Up next, we have the Baltimore Orioles. That's Brandon Hyde. I'm going to say fringe, and the reason I'm saying fringe is because if the Orioles really struggle this year, I could see them making a managerial change. I really do. I thought that Hyde was on the hot seat last year, but he turned things around to his credit, and the Orioles do have their core coming up. So this is kind of Hyde's chance to prove why he was hired by the Orioles in the first place. But I'm saying fringe because if things start going south, they might make a change. Up next, we have the Padres. Bob Melvin, he's safe. He has going to get keys to San Diego pretty much. I mean, there's no reason to fire him. He got them to the NLCS. It's ironic. He actually has more playoff wins already in the National League than he did in his whole tenure in Oakland. It's kind of funny. Up next, we have the Philadelphia Phillies. Rob Thompson. Dude, come on. There's nothing to say here. He's safe. He took over the team mid-season after Joe Girardi got fired, and he got the Phillies to the World Series and barely got them into the playoffs. But the Phillies proved that all you need to do is get in, and once you get in, you're fine. Up next, we have Derek Shelton and the Pirates. He's fringe. To me, Shelton may even be on the hot seat because I think this is the year that the Pirates have to prove that their rebuild is going somewhere. They've been very mediocre for the last 4 years. And if they can't get at least a fourth place finish, I think Shelton is going to be gone. Like, there's no reason the Pirates can't finish fourth this year, in my opinion. Up next, we have the Texas Rangers. Bruce Bochy. He's safe. He's safe. He just got hired. He's got a loaded roster there. I think he's going to get the Rangers to the postseason this year. Even if they don't make it to the playoffs this year, as long as they are making improvements upon the last 2 years, he's fine. Up next, we have the Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Cash. He's safe. He's going to be the winningest Rays manager in franchise history. If not this year, definitely next year. He's okay. I know the Rays are headed towards a retool, but he's done more than enough to stay. Up next, we have Alex Cora and the Red Sox. He's on the hot seat. I think Cora could be fired before the season's even over. Let's just face it. I mean, the Red Sox, I know that Kyle Bloom has been really chaotic with his moves, but the Red Sox still have a team that can win. I mean, they have a scrappy enough offense and a pitching staff that can be good. I think if they just don't perform well this year, they're going to be looking for a new manager, rightfully so. I just think Cora is way too inconsistent. Up next, we have David Bell. I think he's fringe, and the only reason I'm saying fringe is because it would be the most Reds thing for them to fire their manager, even though what they're doing is pretty much like not David Bell's fault at all. But give Bell some credit. They started off like 3-20 last year, and they finished 59-80 down the stretch, I believe. Not terrible, but considering the roster that David Bell had to work with, the fact that they went 62-100 was pretty incredible. And to be honest, if Bell just wanted to leave Cincinnati and go elsewhere, I'm sure there's a team out there that would hire him. Up next, we have the Rockies, and this might be an unpopular take, but I think Bud Black is on the hot seat. Partly because the Rockies have a new GM, and I could see Colorado heading in that direction of they might just change managers. And to be fair, I think Buddy Black deserves better. He's a fine manager. I don't doubt that one bit. He's done very well in Colorado. I mean, he got them to the playoffs 2 years in a row, his first two seasons there. It's just the NL West is so stacked. I think Buddy would do better off being on a team, I don't know, like Detroit or something like that. Up next, we have the Royals. Matt Quatraro, he's safe. He's a rookie manager. Royals aren't expected to do much this year. If they at least turn things around and can get a fourth place finish in the division, he's fine. Up next, we have the Tigers, and this is a hot take, but AJ Hinch is on the hot seat. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think Hinch is overrated. He has not really done much in Detroit, and I think when he took over the reins in Houston, he was fortunate because the Astros were already on the upward trend, and the Astros fired Bo Porter because they were winning too many games. Like they missed the number one pick in 2014 because Bo Porter knew how to do his job. Uh, I just don't really. I'm not high on Hinch as a manager, to be completely honest with you. If the Tigers suck this year, I think they need to find someone else to take over the reins. Up next, we have the Minnesota Twins, and Rocco Baldelli, I think, has the hottest seat of any manager in the game right now. If the Twins start struggling at any point this year, I think they're firing Baldelli. I mean, there's no reason the Twins can't win that division. So if you're Minnesota, if you're Baldelli, you got to at least prove your worth. If they make the playoffs, fantastic. If they don't even win a playoff game, though, I could even see Baldelli being gone then because I think the Twins are at that point where it's been 21 years since they won a playoff game and they need to start showing their regular season success when it matters. Up next, we have the White Sox and Pedro Grifol. I mean, he's safe. He has the most loaded roster out of anybody of the any of the new managers, in my opinion, as far as talent goes. But Griefel, as long as he gets the White Sox above 500 and in playoff contention, he'll be fine, even if they don't make the playoffs. And lastly, we have the New York Yankees. I'm gonna be realistic here. I think Aaron Boone is fringe. Um, the reason for that is because the Yankees need to start winning playoff games that matter. I mean, they almost got eliminated in the division series last year, and then they had a poor showing in the ALCS with Houston. So if the Yankees can't start making World Series runs consistently, if they can't start winning the playoff games that matter, I honestly think Boone's head is going to be on the chopping block not too long from now. All right, and that is it for today's video. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the subscribe button and like the video. Hit the subscribe button so that you can be updated whenever we post new content on the channel. We'll be working on getting more content out throughout the week. But until then, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.